Hello traders, Nick Shaheen here, revisiting a popular video from not too long ago. HYLN, Hyliion, e-truck makers. I'll put maker in quotes because I believe somebody educated me on it that they are more of an assembler than a maker. Regardless, they have slick looking products and at least they have something to sell right now, including a hybrid retrofit kit, which is not a bad idea. Now, what about the stock? So clearly off the highs and looks like a complete mess. And what do I trade? How do I trade it? Believe it or not, I steered you right in my prior video. And there is at some point, you can, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes into the video, I pointed out one candle that was important from then on, and it was December 7th. It was a 2-hour candle. I said everything pivots around this one candle, and you're going to see why people study charts. If you don't study charts, at least the basics, or get help from somebody that does. Like if you're trading inside of a group and you have a couple of gurus in there that can tell you what's going on with charts, that's what we do all day in the chat room. There's a link to it down below. It's not free, but it's free to try. The way you can try it is to click on the link. It takes you to PayPal. It's $0. PayPal is just the gateway to shake out the people who, just to protect my people. I have over 200 people in there. I don't want just anybody to show up. So somebody who's serious enough that they whip out a credit card for $0 to try it out for 10 days and then decide whether you want to stay or not, cancel it or not. Anyway, this is going to be proof to you that the charts matter. It's a matter of math. It's not like I'm a genius who sees the future. I don't know the company very well. I'm not discussing its insides and outs. I'm not talking about the warrants. I know 1,000 of you are already saying, what about the warrants? The warrants, you don't understand there's warrants. I don't care about any of that. I'm looking at the charts. We can talk warrants at the end if you want. So I said it better hold this line right there. Otherwise, it's going to zero. Don't get upset. Technically, it should go with minus, actually. But there is, suffice it to say that it's big trouble. Okay, giant head and shoulders. You can see it. This is one shoulder. This is one head, one shoulder. And the technicians will tell you, which I'm not one, by the way. I do know how to read charts, but I'm not a technician. I don't come from Wall Street. I'm an engineer who figured this stuff out, and I just use math and logic. So technically, the drop should be this big from here to here, down from the neckline on down. So it's not. Clearly, that would be saying, the message would be it's going out of business, or it's, at least it's going to be delisted or something like that. That's not my assumption. I can still steer you right from here and tell you what candle to look at. All right, so let's put the lines I drew, and this line I drew during the last video. If you don't believe me, you can revisit the video and you'll see. This arrow right there. Okay, I said everything pivots around this arrow. If they hold it, then they have a chance, the bulls. Otherwise, they're in trouble. So what happened since then? It was a 2-hour candle that I was looking at. And I drew this line during the video. You can go back and see. I said that candle was important. They overcame certain levels I was looking at to the left. It's important they don't lose it. And they did. And not only that, they lost the big trigger that I wanted them to hold. So now when they fell below it, this is a last-ditch effort from the bulls to say, this is like somebody falling in the water. They don't know how to swim, but they're trying to reach, and they're bobbing their head out to take a few last breaths. The sellers are still in charge. Let me zoom in for a little bit. 1 second. Okay, so the sellers are still in charge on the 2-hour candle-ish. On the lower time candles, maybe they have a chance, but it's not clear. They're still struggling, and they're below the big trigger. So you're saying, what's the big deal with that candle right there? The December 7th candle. Look right. Tell me that wasn't important. If you still don't believe in technicals, I pointed this candle out way before this happened. And I don't see the future. All I'm saying that I'm seeing something in the charts. It was to the penny, the body of this candle. To the penny. So make that your next trigger. There's no upside sustainable without taking out that. And then this. See, this was an alert I had set for myself. I should add another alert here. and I'll say the candle. It's actually, transposing. Long week, 2-hour candle. Misspelled it. That's okay. It's for me. Okay, so this is another candle to look at. 18. 18 is super important. That's the neckline. So as long as they're below 18, the bulls are in extreme danger. How far down? Now you can talk warrants. If I read correctly, I'm not a warrant expert. They're not options. They're different than options. The warrant strike price was 11.75, I want to say, from memory. Look that up. I don't know. It's public record somewhere. So there's hot air between here and there. It came down to 15 at one point. Why not 11.75? So if I wanted to get long, I'm not going to buy calls and hope. And please, I would not, quote, average down in a stock like this. This, Novavax, Nikola, any stock that is unproven, where they don't have a product, kind of, this one does, but the stock is unproven, I don't average down in it. I would average down in a stock with a sustainable growing business. I would not average down with like CRM fell off a cliff. And if I bought it at the top and now it's 20% lower, it's a good candidate to average down. This one, even if it's 80% lower, it's not a good candidate to average down. There are tricks I can do with the options in order to, quote, average down without money out of pocket, but it's pretty tricky, and I don't want to explain them here halfway and somebody getting hurt trying something they don't know. So a value below that they shouldn't lose is 16.5. I picked that out from this candle right there. It's not highly scientific, but usually when they have this much indecision, I mean, this is a doji candle. I'm not a candle guy, but I read them to say, okay, this is a place where bulls and bears fought it out and they both were undecided. So why not make a note of it? 16.5. 16.45 actually, but anyway, so thereabouts. They shouldn't lose that. Otherwise, they're in danger of losing this. And if they lose this, they just trigger more selling. So what do I mean when I say the sellers are in charge of the stock right now? It means the pops will get sold automatically. And if machines are selling, they will rinse repeat until the math tells them not to. So as long as the pops are getting sold, the pops will continue to get sold as long as the trend is still down. When will they decide? Is when there is a cleared bottoming process. And no process. The bottom is not usually a V. It's usually a process. It stops with not setting lower lows. Like here they tried, but they couldn't. So then you have to make the judgment. Lower lows are no longer happening. Lower highs are still okay. So what happens is that the range will tighten and will come to a fighting point, and then they will have to decide. So it depends where you draw your lines, right? All it tells me is that the range was this wide, and now it's coming into a point. So they're going to have to decide. So I draw a circle and I say something inside this box. Something's going to happen from inside this box. So then I look for levels inside this box. This is a nice level. I already shared this level with you. And of course this hold right here and 16.5. So know these lines and then decide how you're trading or investing. So if you're trading, I wouldn't do anything. I say no trigger, no trade. If I don't have a reason to do something, chase it up or down, I don't do it. Like I set an alert. I'm not going to buy a call anticipating the alert. That's why I put alerts. Today, I had alerts trigger and we caught rallies in the chat room because of the alerts. I'm not sitting watching every ticker. We have hundreds of tickers. And what was the alert? Shoot, I can't remember now. Apple, Tesla was one. It's actually working. Tesla is still ongoing right now from like 625. I said 640 is the first exit, or actually 640 is the target, so I can exit anywhere below that. Depends on the trade speed. So I set alerts, and then CRM was an alert. Calls we bought immediately yielded 10% for me because I chose February calls. Somebody else chose shorter term, so they were up 14%. I'm staying in mine. CRM, side conversation. But no trigger, no trade. This is a speculative bet. Companies, I'm not dissing the company. What did I start saying? Nice looking trucks. I love that, the green smack. The new hyper truck that they don't even have yet, I can't speak to it. It's just vaporware so far. Maybe they come to it, maybe not. I like the fact that you can retro semis, taking one axle out and make it completely electric. So that semi is hybrid. Now it's got a longer range, maybe it's faster, probably adds horsepower to it, and it's probably most definitely consumes less fuel. So it is, the concept is great. The stock is what I'm discussing here. The price action in the stock is death right now. It is in the hands of the shorts, the bears, the sellers. How about that? Sometimes sellers are not bears, they're just traders. So Head and Shoulders nasty in progress unless they can recover the neckline, which is 18. A loss of the most recent bounce, which was 16.5. That was the last battle. This little candle right there I just shared you is setback number 1. Setback number 2 is losing this bounce here, which means that most likely they're headed to close to that strike price of the warrant. Now, do your homework on what that warrant is and what the strike price is and when the deadline is. I thought it was sometimes during the end of the year or maybe early January. I'm not sure, but definitely double check your time frame. I'm not an expert at that's how it happens. I think holders of the warrants have a timeline to exercise, and then after that it turns into pennies, the value of the warrant itself, or something like that. But anyway, technically on the charts, the battle is intensifying, and you can see higher lows, lower highs coming into a point. On the daily chart like this one, it's hard to see the fight. So if you zoom in, 2 hours is where we were looking at. If you're more active, it's 60 minutes, and then let me reset it. All right. If you're even more active, 15 minutes. So now you're looking at it. So the active trader, the one that trades intraday, in and out, scalping, is worried about this line, because now that becomes like a neckline that looks like a ladybug. That's what I call it. It's an inverse cup and handle-ish. Look at this candle. So draw a line here. 1720 is important, and on the bounce. If they lose it, look, that's a mini Head and Shoulders. Any which way you slice it, this neckline better hold short term. Otherwise, they're going to here, which is the next battle zone if the sellers prevail. On the way up, this is resistance. This is the point of control. That's a lot of supply right here. I feel like Madden, John Madden, if you're not old enough. Boom! And this is a trigger eventually, but it's definitely resistance. So I have a resistance zone right here and a must-hold zone right here. That's why, and on this time frame, nobody's in charge. They're fighting it out. They were down here. They were up here. They're fighting it out. Nobody has control. They're fighting it out. But it's heavy. So must hold versus resistance. Who's got the upper hand? There's no tailwind. There's a tailwind for the sellers more than the buyers. If they lose this one, they come to 1647. What was that? 1645 I told you was important? Guess what? It's very important. And then definitely this one. That's the last leg before they go whoop. They finish the job of that giant Head and Shoulders. Okay, so this is different time frames, same decision process. I'm not making this schmutz up. It's the same process. Find the levels that matter. In this case, these two candles matter. And this one clearly, and this set, the stop. Volume profile, that tells you where the money is. Price is truth. That's where price is. That's volume profile. This doesn't mean anything, those volumes on here. This tells me where they happened. This tells me when they happen. These tell me where they happen. All right, that's a long enough video, but this is like a full-blown crash course in technical analysis in plain, simple English.